We've seen more blessings come in for our seniors that we want to share with everybody tonight. Ruth Kravitz says, we hope that our children become the kinds of adults who make the world more just and more equitable. Beryl Mazzella prayed and wishing for a healthy and meaningful future for the graduates. Sydney Greenblatt, her prayer is, may all of these graduates go out into the world and take their place as leaders who love and care for our planet and all things that live upon it. Madeline Gold prayed for all the graduates to go into the world where their voices are heard and they are respected for whatever unique gifts that they share. Phyllis Berman prayed for the seniors. We wish you to inherit a positive and healthy world. Anna Eastman said to go eat rich foods and drink sweet drinks and send portions to those who have nothing, for today is sacred to our Lord, from Nehemiah 8:10, to celebrate your accomplishments and share your gifts with others, whatever they may be. And so now our service focuses on the voice of our 12th grade students. I've had the privilege of learning with them and being their teacher this year. And so we'll have a chance for each one of them to share one of the ways either that their Helfman memories will go with them, something that was a memorable experience, and just a word from each of them to get a taste of who they are and a little bit about what this experience of being part of the class has meant to them. So we start with our first student, Jacob Brewer.
After my 13 years attending Helfman, I will be leaving with the knowledge that will allow me to continue my Jewish studies with confidence and pride. In college, I plan to study Hebrew as well as Torah. With this confidence, continuing my studies will not only be something I do for my religious identity, but something I do because I love being Jewish.
Okay. The Havdalah, our graduating class, spent in Jerusalem during our Shirley Barish Israel trip. We stood in a circle in a park, and as the sun set, Rabbi Fixler gave us a negun, which is a wordless tune. I say gave because the entire affair consisted of far more than the teaching of a simple repetitive melody that supports a string of simple repetitive sounds. For 15 or more minutes, he told us the story behind the negun, a story rooted in Jerusalem and imparted to us with a mix of earnestness and laughter as a secret, symbolic of our tradition, that just our group would carry with us. The rhythm of the syllables and the sound of the melody and the words of the tale gifted to us as a class. Our Jewish tradition sustains itself with these elements of rhythm, sound, word, elements that coalesce into a story so rich with mystery and meaning that at times they feel almost like secrets, created special for us. I have so many memories of 13 years at Helfman Religious School, of 17 in this congregation, of lessons and art projects and prayers and songs and adventures that add layers to the stories this school told over and over. It's the stories that matter, so precious that you might mistake the power they hold and the reverence with which we treat them for the telling of a secret. So I take with me the knowledge that Judaism is narrative, imparted in plentiful forms, whose value lies in the telling of the story, the unraveling of the secret unto someone else. Thank you.
My experience at Emanu was one that I will carry with me past my graduation from high school into the rest of my life. Many of the experiences I had were nothing but positive, from the wonderful rabbis to the friends and acquaintances I've made along the way. The Shirley Barish Memorial Israel Experience trip is what really established and solidified my permanent Jewish identity, and is my identity that is going to stick with me for the rest of my life. Not only will this identity influence my life, but will influence the life of my children and the life that I will live past graduation.
The most important thing I've learned while at Emanu Religious School is the importance of continued Jewish learning. Everything I have learned in the past few years, especially with the Shirley Barish Memorial Israel Experience trip, has only enriched my thirst for Jewish knowledge. In the first few nights of the trip, I started researching questions I had thought of during the day, and trying to be inquisitive and ask questions throughout the trip. This continued after the trip too, with me researching online and reading as much as I could about Jewish history and culture. Even though I have occasionally missed class due to HSPVA's incredibly busy performance schedule, I am thankful for what I've been taught by my teachers, rabbis, and friends here. I will miss all of you and hope we can keep in touch. Thank you, everyone.
Helfman Religious School showed me a bond. Helfman Religious School showed me a bond stronger than friendship. The people that are graduating with me today, I have known since kindergarten or before. Our little faces hang on the walls of the synagogue for us to remember our consecrations and the white robes we wear for confirmation. However, this bond is not just about longevity. It's a religion. Emanu has shown me the importance of the cultural effect of Judaism. Through multiple Holocaust programs that instill pride in our fellow Jews, to stories about wandering through the desert for 40 years, Emanu has shown me how much the Jewish people have overcome. Because of this, I take pride in my religion and have a deep affection for my fellow Jews. Together we have survived so much, and we will continue to combat the hate that sadly surrounds us today. My fellow graduates and I have been inspired by programs, trips, and mentors from Emanu that teach us to be proud of our religion and inspire us to continue to fight. Judaism will not be lost on me as I grow up. Next year, I will be taking a gap year in Israel, fully immersing myself in the culture, history, and religion of the holiest place on earth. I cannot wait to further everything Emanu has taught me. After that, I plan to participate in Hillel on my college campus, as well as programs about Zionism and Judaism, and possibly take on a Jewish studies major or minor. Thank you, Emanu, for everything you have taught me and all of the amazing experiences I have had because of you. From my kindergarten teacher to my bat mitzvah helpers and even co-teachers I have worked with as a TA, I'm forever grateful for my time here at Emanu.
Throughout the years at religious school, I have had countless experiences that have pushed me to grow as a person. 2 years ago, my class and I went on the Shirley Barish Memorial Israel/Poland trip. Going on the trip, I was pretty nervous because I was only really friends with one person. Once we got to Poland, we all started slowly feeling like one big family. And I knew that the Poland portion of the trip would be extremely difficult, and I was anxious that I would feel alone when confronting the evil that we were about to see. At Majdanek, one of the death camps we went to, we all held each other and cried. In that moment, we became bonded, and I know this bond will last.
There are many things that I have learned while attending Helfman Religious School, but there are 3 important experiences that have stood out beyond compare. The first one being the Israel trip this summer going into my junior year. It was an influential experience that helped me connect deeper to Judaism, as well as helped me find 2 of my best friends to this day. My second experience was going to lobby in DC last March with a few other juniors and seniors. I lobbied at Sheila Jackson Lee's office by myself to talk about reproductive rights, and I learned how important it is to stand up for issues that I deeply care about, and that my voice mattered even though I was just 16 at the time. I felt powerful and capable of being able to change the world in the future and help me realize my future career of becoming a social worker. Lastly would be the opportunity of becoming a TA for the past 3 years. I learned a lot of different skills that will help me throughout my life, as well as forming deep connections with the kids, which I didn't think would happen. I will definitely miss the bagels every Sunday, but most importantly, the space in which I grew up and the comfort of Emanu.
When I looked at the prompts to choose what I wanted to write my paragraph about, I had a hard time deciding between the first prompt and the third prompt. What is the most important thing I learned in religious school, and what I'm taking with me from religious school? In the end, I decided that the thing I'm taking with me is the most important thing I learned. I learned to apologize. It is a practical skill, but more importantly, it is a skill of humility, empathy, and self-reflection. The most important thing about an apology that I learned is that an apology isn't about you. An apology isn't for you to explain yourself. or for you to brush off the guilt. An apology is for you to acknowledge the feelings of the person you hurt, to take responsibility, and to try to reconcile. My experience at Helfman Religious School has been one full of learning and growing. This loving community was the first community to accept me when I moved to Houston. And I hope I speak for everyone when I say that it is lessons like these that we will take with us to college and life beyond.
The most memorable moment of my religious school experience is definitely when we went to Israel. We went into the sunken buildings under the sand where we could only see by candlelight. We crawled through and searched for treasures in the sand, and we did. We found bones and pieces of old pottery used ages ago. It felt like a real adventure as we went through those tight tunnels under Jerusalem. We went through and saw so much and learned about the history of Israel. We had so much fun goofing around on the bus and singing together. We stayed in so many wonderful places and met so many wonderful people. The food there tasted so much better than anything I could think of. I could never eat a tomato as good as the ones we ate there. And we got to release pigeons from our hands, with amazing tour guides leading our way through it all that made us sad to say goodbye. There were so many things that I wish to go back and see. I made so many memories, and to be able to experience it with all of you was a privilege. I want to say thank you to all of you, my teachers and my friends, for giving me an experience I will never forget.
And am I ready? Okay, yep. Alrighty. My most memorable religious school experience was by far the Shirley Barish Memorial Israel experience. The year prior was one of the worst I had ever experienced. My house had flooded, my grandma had passed away, and I had no time to grieve because I was working to the point of burnout. Going on this trip not only gave me time to finally process what had happened, and it helped me make friends and find a group of people who were just as weird and quirky as I am. I love seeing the sights and ordering falafel, and for the first time, I didn't feel like I was on a hamster wheel. Going on this trip let me learn so much about myself, and it gave me nuance to my views on religion. I knew how I wanted to practice Judaism, and I learned how to take those values into the next stage of my life, something with which I had struggled with before. I will fondly remember this trip for the rest of my life as a much needed reset button, and I will take the things I learned from this trip into college and beyond.
Over the past 7 years, I've learned a lot during my time in religious school. I learned about myself, my faith, and what my faith means to me. To me, my faith is not something that I want to embrace alone. Instead, I like to celebrate it with those that are there to celebrate it with me. And I've been able to celebrate all the major events of Judaism with this group of students who I've been lucky to become so close with. So to summarize, my main takeaway is that I really just am so grateful to have made the friends that I've made, and that Emanu was able to give me this experience. Thank you.
What I'm taking from Helfman Religious School is many things, but one that sticks out the most is that I learned what it really means to be Jewish. Helfman Religious School taught me the importance of the culture and traditions and the history of the Jewish people. I've gained a great sense of pride in myself and my community because of it. I want to thank the clergy and the staff and my peers for shaping me into the religious man I am today.
What a beautiful treasure to have our extraordinary students share their lens and their view and their experience. And I want you to consider the commitment that they have made, many of them since they were in Becker in our preschool, all the way through 12th grade, to come and to learn. It started just on Sundays, and then as they began learning Hebrew on Wednesdays and on Sundays, and then through B'nai Mitzvah multiple times a week, and then on Wednesday evenings, the gift that they have been to all of their teachers and to all of our community is immeasurable. And I want to share one last blessing from the Facebook comments from a teacher who worked with all of them, or almost all of them, from Mrs. Wilkenfeld, who prayed, may all the graduates continue to grow and be a blessing to those of us who have helped them. Congratulations. So a message for the students tonight. And I want to ask them to turn their cameras on so that at some point we can see all of you together. Many centuries ago, there was a nobleman who wondered what legacy he might be able to leave for his townspeople. At last, he decided he would build a synagogue. Nobody saw the plans for the building until it was finished. When the people came for the first time, they marveled at its beauty. It was a stunning building with inspiring spaces to learn and to pray. There was a sophisticated library with access to every book and resource imaginable, and a fabulous playground for the children to run and play. There were inviting areas to sit and gather and visit, and glorious places to host special Shabbat dinners and seders and celebrate bar and bat mitzvahs and weddings and baby namings. The designer had thought of everything, every little detail. And then someone asked, where are the lamps? How will it be lit? Everyone looked around and noticed there wasn't a single light in the whole synagogue. The nobleman pointed to brackets which were all throughout the synagogue on the walls, in the sanctuaries and in the classrooms, in the social hall and in the library. And then he gave each individual a lamp, which they were to bring with them every time they came to the temple, reminding them that by bringing and sharing their light, the place would be illuminated. I share this because on this Shabbat, it's a Shabbat when we cannot gather at our congregational building, a physical space that is dear and precious and holds many memories of celebration and observances for you and your families and our entire community. We celebrate and recognize and appreciate the light that you have brought to Congregation Emmanuel for so many years. The light that shines from your eyes and emanates from your souls. A light that has been bright and beautiful and transformative. Because your parents brought you to Emmanuel's children and you've continued to learn and grow with us and shed your sweet light, the Torah that we have learned has been richer. Our gatherings have been warmer and more creative and special. Our space, yes, our physical space at Temple, but even more importantly, our community is brighter and better because you've been a part of it, because you've shared yourself, your intellect, your passions, your neshama, your souls with us. And what is indeed magical is that those gifts remain ever with us, even when you take and share your light in new places. Your brightness glows in every place where you are and leaves a lasting radiance on the places and people with whom you have gathered. At our temple, in Israel, at camp, in your homes, at your schools, with your families, friends, teachers, and clergy. Please remember, the world needs your light. Share it thoughtfully and generously. Take precious care of the vibrance that is the core of who you are. Nurture it regularly with things that spark joy. Know that we will always be happy to see you and hear about what you're doing when you bring your light back to Temple. Also, and just as important, remember to take a bit of our light with you. Let the laughter and prayers and learning that filled our classes and gatherings continue to help fuel your light. Know that we are always here for you and we are a part of you and so very proud of you. I now offer God's blessing upon you in words that are ancient and hallowed by time, words of blessing that have been prayed for you many times throughout your lives. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'huneka. May the light of God's presence shine down upon you and be very sweet and gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's goodness and presence always be counting and looking towards you and giving you the most precious gift of all, the blessing of peace. Amen. As we acknowledge and celebrate this talented and dedicated group of learners, we admire their tremendous commitment to the many classes and programs that led to this day. And I imagine that there were times that they counted down, first in years and then in months and then in weeks, how many days were left. In this season, we all count. We count the Omer. The Omer refers to the 49-day period between the second night of Pesach and the holiday of Shavuot. This period marks the beginning of the barley harvest, when in ancient times, Jews would bring the first sheaves to the temple as a means of thanking God for the harvest. The cantor will now lead us in the blessing for counting the Omer.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer.
Today is the 16th day of the Omer, which is 2 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. We now turn towards the